Somebody took this outside and took that bank, bro.
The Madden 25 franchise deep dive is here, so we're going to break it down. They also included the presentation information in this deep dive as well, so we kind of got a 2-for-1.
Oh, man.
And it looks like a lot of important changes this year, especially on the presentation side, which has been much needed in the game. Now, if you are new to the channel and you don't want to miss out on any of the other Madden 25 deep dives or gameplay videos that's going to be dropping soon, make sure to subscribe and turn the bell icon on so you don't miss those videos when they drop. I'd like to get to 600K subs before the release of this game, so if everybody watching just subscribe, we can hit that number in a few days. We're almost there. So just like every other deep dive that they have put out lately, they put a trailer on their YouTube channel, but they also put a blog on their website that goes much more in detail, and that's what I'm going to break down in this video while the trailer plays on screen. Now, at the beginning of this deep dive, it says, "Hey everybody, I'm Josh Lumen, the lead designer of Franchise Mode. I'm thrilled to be here to talk to you about Madden NFL 25. And he said his journey began working on Franchise Mode in Madden 04, and then he was the lead designer of NFL Head Coach 09. And this is important before we get into the details, because those who know Josh Lumen, they know the games that he worked on. Again, Madden 04, Franchise Mode was amazing back then. Head Coach had so much depth. He's now back and leading Franchise. And when I was down at EA a couple months ago and he was doing his presentation, everybody there immediately knew, even the people that were newer and weren't familiar with them, they knew he was the right guy. The way he talked about Franchise Mode, he kept saying things like it didn't have enough life, it didn't feel real, it didn't feel like decisions mattered, and that's really what's been missing from the mode. So having him back in charge of this mode is going to be a great thing for the franchise community. Now let's break down what he said going into this deep dive. He said, this year they're focusing on 3 main pillars for franchise: immersion, customization, and depth/core improvements. And right there, those first 2 words, immersion and customization, that's the 2 things that Franchise Mode has been lacking. It's been putting back a lot of these features like mini camp, like assistant coaches, it's added skill trees, it's redone the scouting, it's added more trade slots, but the immersion and the customization are still lacking, and that's very important. And this year, they're going hard to try to get that back to where it needs to be. So let's start with the immersion aspect of things. It says manage personalities through dynamic storylines. In Madden 25, you'll craft your franchise story through over 70 new dynamic storylines. You'll feel like you're actually managing a team and not just looking at rows on a spreadsheet. Players remember your promises, and storylines can span entire seasons. You need to know your players' personalities to make the right choices. It says here, in one of our storylines, you'll have a player who shows up to training camp out of shape. How you react and the choices you make will have a different impact based on your player's personality type. Push the right buttons, you'll motivate him to play better than he normally would for the first 3 weeks of the season. Say the wrong thing and he'll start the year out of shape. It also says we're recreating as many situations from real life as we can, so you'll even be given the choice to sit your rookie quarterback for the entire year to develop him like Patrick Mahomes did. If you can commit to that and be patient, the reward he'll receive at the end of the first year will set him up for success moving forward. Now, in all of the storylines, your choices will have a big impact, especially when it depends on the personality types of your players. There aren't any dynamic storylines where your choice doesn't matter, and making the right decision could change the entire narrative of how your team performs on and off the field. These dynamic storylines occur in new environments like team meeting room, coach's office, press conferences, and practice sidelines. These storylines will be at the forefront during intense contract extension negotiations and trade demands. You'll influence offseason workouts and help players through slumps or historic seasons. Now, a key point there is trade demands. Now, people can demand trades again, which is pretty cool. That's the type of stuff we need in the mode. Moving on here to breakout storylines. In Madden 25, breakout storylines have been completely revamped for more variety, freedom, and risk-reward dynamics. Players can experience multiple paths and outcomes that are positive or negative, lasting from 1 week to several. One path involves consulting with offensive and defensive coordinators to set weekly goals for breakout players, with a chance for a double or nothing opportunity to extend the storyline. Another allows choosing the difficulty of goals with harder challenges offering greater rewards like multiple development slots, XP boosts, or permanent attribute upgrades. Instant development upgrades are possible following strong performances, with a chance for further progression. Players can also choose a passive or aggressive approach after strong performances, balancing the risk and reward. A long-term variant inspired by players like Isaiah Pacheco and Puka Nacua allows sustained success to turn normal or star players into X factors. These revamped storylines aim to add significant immersion and variation to the mode. Now, one thing I really like there is how you can have a super breakout player really early in their career. Puka Nacua last year is the perfect example of this. You know, halfway through the season, he was going so crazy, it was quite clear that he was already one of the better receivers in the NFL. It just was what it was. And now that can happen in the game. If you have a guy like that, he can upgrade to X Factor much faster. Moving on here, it says experience the new NFL draft. Now this is definitely one of the more notable changes for the mode. It's one of the areas that needed a big facelift, and it finally got it. It says your authentic draft experience starts when Roger Goodell takes the stage. The draft environment is dynamic with the draft board updating in real time. After selections are made, you'll witness the iconic moment of your draft pick walking across stage, holding up their new jersey, or receiving the life-changing call from home. There's also a brand new prospect board that makes drafting players easier and more intuitive than ever before, while draft grades give you immediate feedback on your pick. So that's cool. You get immediate draft grades. Love that. It says this level of authenticity is something we're incredibly excited to bring you, and that authenticity doesn't end on draft night. It also extends beyond the draft and onto the gridiron. We've made significant changes to how gear and equipment are assigned to draft prospects, meaning you'll notice the superstars of tomorrow and all of the new gear and updated equipment and looking more authentic than ever. That is been one of the biggest complaints lately in franchise mode, is that the generic rookies that would get drafted, they would usually, I think, all be wearing kind of the same stuff, and it would be very old, outdated gear, and it just would not look like current NFL players. They're wearing these old helmets. They don't even have gloves on, I think, a lot of the times. It just doesn't look like what an NFL player looks like. So I'm glad that they updated that, because that has been a pain point for a lot of people. Moving on to the prospect hub, it says to reduce friction in the scouting and...
They're talking about like the new generated player, like the auto generated players that look like they're old as shit.
Drafting process, we've completely redesigned the prospect hub in Madden 25. Previously, in order to see a prospect's athletic grades or physical measurables, you would have to go all the way into their player card. This year, we've brought all that information forward into a more familiar spreadsheet format, and you'll now be able to view and sort all prospects by their region, attributes, physical grades, as well as both combine and pro day data. Whether you're searching for a wide receiver that ran the fastest 40-yard dash or a cornerback that has the highest man coverage grade, you can do that quickly and efficiently. So now, finally, you can sort all of this stuff. This is just going to save so much time for a lot of people. Moving on here to Franchise Central, your new home base in franchise. Franchise mode introduces Franchise Central, a new home base for all your key information. This updated league creation flow simplifies selecting league type and roster, while the team select screen now includes expanded rankings, top players, and roster details. A new personal message system offers smart suggestions from characters within your organization, including trade targets, free agent signings, and injury updates. The new top stories section delivers breaking news, visual stories, and instant reactions to your choices, focusing on season matchup, game recaps, and player performance narratives. Franchise Central provides easy access to standings and matchups with insights to your opponent's stats and top players. During bye weeks and after the season, it offers information on team rankings, needs, and draft prospects. Multi-user connected franchises allow others to see your choices and activity. So basically a whole new UI for franchise, a little bit easier of a streamline, and hopefully the stories thing is better, because it just feels like in the past that's not really been that great. Hopefully that is actually a little bit more immersive now. Moving on to customization. Yes, we have Team Builder. We got it in college football. It was announced for Madden. We can finally create real teams in Madden again. And honestly, this is going to be the best creation Madden has ever had, because Madden never had a team builder. They had Create a Team, but they never had a team builder like college did, where you can upload your own logos. So this is going to really be the best customization that a Madden game has ever had in terms of teams. It says in Madden 25, you'll be able to design your own team from the ground up using a suite of customization tools available on the Team Builder website. You could create and upload your own logos, personalize your uniforms, home way, and alternates, personalize your helmets, your stadium on-field logos, and you can even build your custom rosters as well. So you can make a completely fictional roster on the Team Builder website, which is going to be amazing for this game. It says you can import up to 32 Team Builder teams into a franchise, so you can literally create an entire new league. I know people are going to go crazy with that, and that's something we should have been had. Thankfully, we finally have it now. I'm not going to complain now that it's here, but man, it feels like we should have had this a long time ago, but I'm glad we got it now. And of course, you can also share your creations with others. You can download other people's teams, so that's going to be cool. And it says here that it is only available, of course, on the newer systems and PC. You do need an internet connection and an EA account to use this, though. Moving on here, it says take advantage of core depth improvements, starting with team and rookie records. Whether it's the history you're making or the history you're rewriting, it's a massive part of franchise. Madden 25 features over 1,400 new records to be broken within franchise mode. Previously, there were only records across the entire NFL for career season and game. Now, every NFL team will have their own specific game season and career records specific to them, and in addition, will also have rookie game and rookie season awards as well. Up next, we've got roster AI and progression. In Madden 25, AI operates like savvy front offices, focusing on extending contracts of young core talent and waiting for the offseason to decide on veterans and depth players. During the NFL draft, teams prioritize long-term roster improvements over immediate needs. Refined player progression ensures older players regress physically while younger stars get more opportunities. You'll no longer see Derrick Henry get faster at 31 or 32 years old, and young players performing exceptionally like CJ Stroud are rewarded with ratings reflecting their impact. The simulation experience is retuned, affecting AI logic in free agency, the NFL draft, franchise tags, re-signings, and more. Create a Coach now includes female avatars, allowing for creation of female coaches in Madden for the first time. The Super Bowl celebration experience has been refreshed for more impactful feel on the field as well. Now, the main thing here is all of, the free agency, the draft, the tags, all of the AI roster management. That's something they kind of say every year. It's one of those things I feel like, yes, you can always make better, you can always work on it, and it's definitely an area that Madden has for sure not perfected. So one of those things, you got to play the mode for a little while to see how good that is. You got to play some seasons into a franchise to kind of get a feel for how much better that is, because some years it is better, some years it's worse, and it still isn't really where we want it to be. So we really won't know how true that is until we put some time in on the game. Now let's move on to presentation, an area that Madden is lacking in probably more than anything else. Now we're starting off with 3D grass and turf. It says we started this year from the ground up, literally. You'll notice the 3D grass and 3D turf as soon as you jump on the
Nigga, why are you lying, bro? Y'all copy and pasted and added some shit like y'all do every fucking year. Stop capping, bro. Tired of hearing that bullshit.
And this is to be expected because, again, it's in college football. And I'll be honest, like, you might be saying, oh, 3D turf, 3D grass, like, okay, cool. But if you've played college football, the field looks beautiful in that game. And so it's just good that obviously Madden is going to take this as well, right? If you got the grass for college, obviously Madden was going to do that this year as well. College just came out first. But it actually does make a difference. It makes the game look a lot prettier, I guess you could say, for lack of a better word. It makes it look more real. So I like that we're getting that in Madden as well. Moving on here to the lab. It says the lab is your new home for practice mode and mini games. Practice mode is the most frequented environment in our game, so we owed it to you to make it as visually immersive as possible. And yes, the practice field is new. I got to take a look at it. Looks a lot better. I mean, it doesn't look a whole world different, but it definitely looks better. You got fans in the stands and stuff. Now, it looks like a real practice facility, which definitely adds to the game a little bit, in my opinion. It says here that they also finally added the Gillette Stadium update, which now includes the largest outdoor curved radius screen at a sports venue in history. So, Pats fans, you do have the updated stadium. We did know about that a couple months back, but they're just reiterating it here. They also talk about the shadows and the lighting. In-game stadium lighting is more accurate than ever before. You'll notice realistic shadows on the field, making the game pop visually in a way we haven't seen yet. Again, if you've been on college football, the lighting in that game is beautiful, and it's been solid in Madden as well. I mean, it hasn't been bad. That's one of the things Frostbite does well is lighting, but it's just getting even better this year, so we'll definitely take that. Anything that makes the game look better, I'm all for that. Depth of field and motion blur. Now, I know some people are on the fence about this. I think it makes the game look better. I know not everybody's crazy about it, but basically for faster players more than anything, motion blur is going to kind of enhance the sense of speed in game. Player and coach likeness. It says in Madden 25, more of the NFL's rookies and rising stars will have accurate in-game likeness at launch than ever before. Now, this is something that should just be a given. Like, you're going to obviously have to put player likeness in the game. That's kind of a standard, but I went and looked at this myself when I was able to play the game, because that's kind of one of the nerdy things I do. I like to see who got their updated likeness, what rookies are in the game, and I was actually super surprised how many people not only had their likeness in the game finally, a lot of second and third year players, but how many rookies were in the game already. But I think they do have like a slightly new system now that allows them to produce these face scans much faster. And when I was looking at the game, I was so surprised at how many rookies were already in and how many guys from last year and the year before that were still lacking were in. I got a long list of them, and that's one of the videos I'm going to make when the game comes out, just showing how many people actually have likeness in the game now, which again, it should be a given, but just going off of years past, it's been lacking a little bit. But this year they've gotten a lot more in the game, which is good to see. Moving on to uniforms, here. It says last season Nike updated the uniform and we followed suit. This season they're getting more polished. We tuned all 420 uniform loadouts in Madden 25 through lighting conditions to make sure they look better than ever. Texans fans, your new uniforms will be in the game at launch, as well as 20 plus other new uniforms unveiled last season. It also throws a slight mention of Superstar mode in here, saying that you'll be able to customize the Superstar player with more depth. We'll have tattoos, more custom faces, and more facial hair options. Now, we're going to learn more about that when they deep dive on Superstar, but this is kind of part of the presentation because the art guy handles a lot of this, so they included it here. So it's good to know. Superstar players, you can finally put tattoos after all these years. Got more beard options because the ones they had before weren't really many of them, so that's good that they're giving us more things to customize with. Now, the next part of the blog talks about audio for a brief second, and it's mainly the music in the game. And if you've noticed in the last 5 or so years, the music has kind of gotten predictable. It's been kind of the same old type of stuff. Well, they're kind of like redoing that this year a little bit. And it says when you proceed to the main menu, you'll hear a soundtrack composed of 33 songs from various genres that were curated to create a house party vibe. That's what they said. But notice they said multiple genres, because really it's been a lot of like rap and hip hop lately in the game. And like, that's cool. I mean, that's my favorite genre of music, but you should have a balance, and the older games had a better balance. It says here that they also included 34 classic tracks as stadium music, some of which was brought back from previous Madden games. It said prepare for nostalgia when the Hives and their song Tick Tick Boom transport you back to Madden 08. So they're putting some of those old classic songs back, so we might have like, you know, the Good Charlotte Anthem song in here, things like that, for example. Don't know for sure, but it seems like they're trying to create that vibe of like the good days, I guess you could say, the old Madden game. Like they're giving us more customization now. They're bringing stuff to franchise mode that we want. They're giving us the old music. You know, I like the direction. I like where their head is at here. They're kind of trying to restore the feeling of when more people felt like Madden was more fun and enjoyable. So I like where they're going with this. And to move on from that, we've got new commentary teams, which most of you have probably heard about at this point. It says we're thrilled to be introducing 2 new commentary teams. We've got Mike Tirico and Greg Olson as one team, and then we've got Kate Scott and Brock Heward as the other team. It says each team recorded 195 plus hours of content, and they're going to continue adding content after launch, which is good. Also, Charles Davis and Brandon Gaudin will still be an option in the game, though I doubt most people are going to choose them because they're tired of hearing them. Moving on here to more audio related stuff, it says on the field we're using 500 plus new audio samples for things like exertions, grunts, tackles, and collisions at the line of scrimmage. And when I played, I mean, that did kind of stand out. Like when the audio is better and it's new, it stands out quick because you hear it every play. But it also says in the stands, the crowd audio now includes ESPN crowd recordings captured at Monday Night Football games. Additionally, we supplemented those assets with crowd audio from NFL films. So another area that was lacking in this game, and you notice it even more when you play college football because the crowd is so much better there audio-wise. They're bringing Madden kind of up to that level as well, which is huge. And that's not where the presentation stops here. It says stories of the NFL. It says storytelling begins pregame, where we now get the perspective of 3 different commentary teams. Among the visual updates are new on-field shots of NFL stars warming up, accompanied by various stat banners. It says we've expanded our storytelling when the offense takes the field by using highlight packages to set the scene as our commentators speak about a positive or negative performance by a player or team. When you get halfway through a season in franchise or superstar, the storytelling expands further as you begin seeing banners about stat rankings and award projections. This is all good stuff. This is what the old games had. This is what we need. It says sometimes a highlight package can tell a story all on its own. Much like an NFL broadcast, the end of the first and third quarters are now paired with slow motion highlights and reactions from head coaches. And then it also
they got the 49ers winning the Super Bowl. Nigga, that shit not happening. Nigga, nigga. Hey, knock on wood, but like, you know who's coming for that 3 in a row, bitch.
Says breaking an NFL record is a huge story, and we now show on-field celebrations with a custom banner followed by a replay of the record-breaking moment. Again, presentation, immersion. These are the things we need, and I'm glad to see they're doing it. They also have finally added defensive team celebrations. I'm not sure what took so long on this one, but we got it. It says after a fumble or interception that ends on the field of play, you'll see defenders begin racing towards the nearest end zone to celebrate as a team. Moving on here, here to Super Bowl outcomes, and it says here that they've changed the post-game experience to include branching outcomes. For example, in Superstar, if you dominate the game and win the Super Bowl MVP award, your created player will be front and center raising the Lombardi trophy. But if your created player doesn't earn the Super Bowl MVP award after a win, you'll still be on the podium, but more in the background. And it says Roger Goodell is now the one handing over the trophy to the winning team, but if you lose the game, our branching flow means you won't even see this part of the presentation. And then it says, finally, the foundation of this entire sequence is our new Super Bowl theme song with a variation that plays based on whether you won or lost the game. So let me know what you think about that news below, and if you want to know everything about Madden 25 gameplay that we just found out, make sure you check out this important video right here on the screen.
Alright, that's gonna be next. 3, 2, 1.